Welcome to episode 213 of the weekly Shared Security Show. And joining me this week are North America's privacy and cybersecurity heroes, Scott Wright and Kevin Johnson.
Where do you come up with this stuff?
What the truck is that?
North America's InfoSec heroes.
Well, no, privacy and cybersecurity heroes.
Okay, I misquoted. I was paraphrasing. Oh my goodness.
How you guys doing?
Surviving.
You're surviving? Scott, are you surviving the truck apocalypse in Ottawa?
Truck apocalypse, yeah.
So, serious question. I've seen where people are living in fear of it and it's awful and impactful. And I've also seen where people have said, I live here, it's not that big a deal.
Oh, it's pretty big a deal, yeah.
Okay, your attitude I trust. That's random.
Well, I go nowhere near it. For me, it's not personally affecting me, but it certainly is affecting a lot of people in the city, for sure. Yeah, so.
Yeah. And I'm not downplaying it. I want to be very clear. I'm not like, this is one of those things where if you're not there, right? Like
that's right.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
When all this stuff was going on in Seattle, Portland.
Yeah.
I have friends who live in Portland and they're like, the news is blowing this way out of proportion. Like it's in this small area where people are protesting and some people are doing stupid stuff and what have you. But like it's being presented as the entire city is being shut down. And
I mean, and you'll get people here in Ottawa saying it's not that big a deal as well, like you said. But it really, it's really aggravating. And the biggest thing is that the police have done really nothing, and nobody knows why. Well, I mean, there's lots of speculation. And the police chief just resigned today, so there's that.
That helps.
Interesting.
So I'm semi-happy.
So was that a pun?
That's a pun.
Oh, that's a great pun.
So I'm not arguing for or against or anything else like that. I don't know enough about the details to have an opinion, but I just want to know what idiot thought to themselves, and I understand there were multiple of them. Hey, I'm going to Canada to protest something. Let me take either a Confederate flag or a Trump 2024 flag. Like,
yeah. Well, they're the ones that expected to get a meeting with, one of the highest level conservative politicians, and they did.
Wow.
I can at least, I don't agree with it. I think it's stupid. I think it's asinine. But if you're in the United States protesting something and you fly a Confederate flag, at least there is a level of relevancy to.
It's still stupid, but yeah.
And all I can say is, and I said this somewhere else, and I don't think it was this show, but I said this somewhere else, is that if I was living in Canada and some jackhole was waving a Confederate flag, the only thing I feel like I could say to them was, hey, look, we did better than you did. We burned the White House.
Nobody remembers that here, unfortunately, but it's okay. But it is an interesting story. In fact, I was telling Tom, it was The Guardian actually did an article on why what's happening in Ottawa is so important to the world. It's not, manipulating elections now. It's paralyzing a city, right? And so you activate people, you get some funding, and there you go. So anyway,
I don't know.
And from my point of view, we're starting to see, we look at security, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability issues. And availability is now a big risk in the city. Emergency services can't get to places downtown. Yeah. So it's pretty annoying. Yeah,
I'm a big supporter of protest in general. Like I'm a huge First Amendment supporter. I'm aware the First Amendment doesn't cover Canada. For everybody says, "Well, Kevin,
ding. News is just in."
I get it. But I'm a huge supporter of protest, and I get the idea that making your protest inconvenient for others causes them to think about your cause.
Yeah.
But I still stand by the idea that if you inconvenience my day enough, I'm going to hate whatever you're protesting for.
Yeah, there's a little bit of backlash. Could happen.
Even if I agree with it. Like, yeah, you're right, but I hate you. They
don't see the line. They don't see the line where it becomes counterproductive, right? So,
yeah, I feel like there is such a line, right? But okay, that's total
all right.
tangent.
Let's
tracking my eyeballs is all I know right now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about some of the stories from the week. And our first one is about the MoviePass app wants to track your eyeballs to make sure you're watching ads. Now, this is interesting. And in fact, I saw some comments on Reddit that this is actually a Black Mirror episode.
Really? I've never watched Black Mirror. Is it worth watching?
Absolutely. And I've mentioned this before to you. It's a required watch, Kevin. You need to
I'm no longer a host of the show. I'm sorry.
That's right. We will fire you.
Cybersecurity and privacy.
If you do not watch Black Mirror.
I haven't watched Mr. Robot either.
Oh, God. That's like 2 strikes in one podcast. I can't believe this.
I know. I'm tempted to say that I've not watched Hackers, but that would be a lie.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so MoviePass, if you're not familiar with it, it went away. Yeah, it was a failure. And now they're reintroducing it and throwing a Web3 kind of thing on it, right? With you can earn cryptocurrency by watching movies. So the idea is that you don't have to pay to watch, like, say, the new Spider-Man movie, but you can, if you start watching it, the app will track your eyes to make sure that you're watching the ads. And if you're not watching the ads, the movie will shut off, essentially.
Yeah. No, the ad will shut off.
I'm sorry.
Like the ad will pause until you start paying attention again, which means that your 3-minute commercial break just became 45 minutes because you fell asleep or something.
They should even go further, right? I'm speaking sort of rhetorically on behalf of the advertisers, right? So I think it's actually pretty cool that they stop the ad and nothing happens until you watch. That's pretty effective. But they could even penalize you by saying, okay, every time you do that, partway through the next 30 seconds of the movie, we're going to pause it for 5 seconds, just to annoy you. So next time there's an ad, I'm going to pay attention.
If I don't watch the ad, shock me. Right?
I mean, that's it.
I love how they say like 70% of ad videos are unwatched. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Okay.
Sure.
I thought that's high.
I know that I'm
or low, maybe
older than many people that may be watching this episode or listening to this episode, but I still remember the only time you went to get a snack was on commercial breaks, and you always left one of the siblings in the room to yell, "It's back on!" and you would like run from the kitchen and jump over the couch to get back.
But I remember the fun times watching. Well, first of all, Super Bowl ads are ones that people watch. But when you're really young, all the ads before Christmas time, and you'd see
toy ads.
Those were highlights.
If you want me to watch your ad, make it more interesting.
Exactly.
Right? Like we got rid of jingles. We got rid of like the good ads. We would go out of our way.
Ads are terrible now. I agree.
This to me,
because Kevin and I both used to work at McDonald's. You must remember the old McDonald's. You deserve a break today. With the dancing.
To all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese.
Yes, you guys are old.
That's easy.
Man, we're old. We're old.
Here's my thing. I get it, right? I totally get it. Ads fund something, right? Whether it's the streaming service or the whatever that is. And look, as a business owner, right? Like we do forms of advertising, and this idea of, hey, I think this is crap. I think this is a failed company that is trying to make themselves relevant by using buzzwords. I'm surprised they didn't throw AI, machine learning, and threat hunting in.
That's all in Web3, Kevin. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot.
Well, that was my question. So, what makes what they're doing Web3?
It's you're earning,
just the crypto. Okay,
you're earning virtual currency, right?
Yeah.
To watch ads.
This is bite me. I just
It's just bite me. Yeah.
I don't even know how to respond to this other than saying, what are you, stoned? Like, is there drug use involved? Like, this is one of those board meetings where everybody goes around the table and says, what's the dumbest damn idea you could come up with that
Well, they were
uses marketing buzzwords? And somebody went, I got it. We can use Web 3.0 and track eyeballs and play ads. And the problem is, I bet you that the person who said it is related to the founder, because nobody else felt comfortable enough to look over and go, we are all dumber for having listened to that idea. The average IQ of that organization went down after this was presented.
But you're absolutely right though, Kevin, because I think they were bankrupt, right? I mean, it was a Hail Mary. It was a Hail Mary. I mean, what else? What did they have to lose, right?
Exactly.
But let me be very clear. We're not talking about a really smart company here, right? Like, hey, I got this idea. Let's start a subscription where people will pay us less than a cost of a movie, and we'll let them go to as many movies as they want, and we'll pay for the movies full price. But don't worry about it. We'll lose money on every subscription, but we'll make it up in volume.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
See, this is the company. Next, they're going to tell us that they can do an entire range of medical tests from one drop of blood. And don't worry, it's different than the blonde lady that just got convicted. I don't remember her name. I just remember that, like, everybody described her as like Holmes, the blonde CEO. I don't know why blonde hair mattered in this case, but that's the description I always heard.
Yeah, and she spoke like Steve Jobs.
Yes.
Yeah. Voice.
You know, and I guess there's the other kind of related to this is someone else I saw a post about Facebook is asking for you to send a full video of your entire face as part of their authentication or validation process that you are who you say you are on Facebook. And that's actually freaking some people out because they actually want you to like rotate your face and like there's some shady things of like, of course, Facebook would never use what they're capturing ever for anything.
Has anybody found how to trigger that? Because I've seen
random
seen references to people saying, I got asked this, and they take a screen grab.
Yeah.
But I've not found anybody who can say, this is what I was doing. And I'm not saying they're making it up. I'm asking, right?
Yeah.
I looked to see how to trigger it. I've not been able to get Facebook to ask me. And I'm curious, what is, because like for example, I could see this. I'm not saying it's okay, but if you were using their metaverse VR thingamabob, I could see Facebook saying, look, we want, as part of the authentication into this VR thing, we need multiple sides of your head to represent you. Like I'm not saying that's okay. I'm saying I can see a business justification for it, right? But I can't find anything other than comments like the one that you linked to, where anybody says, "Hey, I was doing this," or like another thing I could see it as is, "Hey, I have filed a complaint to say that somebody is cloning my account and pretending to be me. So as a part of authentication, I had a choice of here's my government ID or here is like the three sides of my, again, not saying it's okay. Those are legitimately like reasons to do it. And personally, if my choice was scan my driver's license and send it to them.
Yeah, what's worse? Right.
Yeah, or show them all four sides of my head. They're getting a video of my head.
Yeah. Well, crypto exchanges ask you for your license now. You have to actually hold up your license with your face to the camera. So
yeah, I've seen, and that's what I say is I'm not saying this person made this up. I believe the person. I just don't have any context.
Well, yeah, there's so little. I mean, my first reaction was, "Is this even a real post?" Right? I mean, or somebody just making this up? Right? Where's the assurance that it is real?
I don't think they're making it up because I totally see Facebook asking for it, right?
Well, that's why somebody would make it up. They can imagine Facebook doing it, so let's accuse them of it. Then.
I always laugh when people make the phrase, and I know you didn't say this, but when you hear the phrase, you can't make this. No, of course you can. Anything can be made up.
These days, absolutely.
Right. But in this case, I believe it.
Yeah.
I just don't know a context. Yeah. So if you're the person who posted it, I'd love to hear more information. Go
on our Reddit list and
yes.
Feel free to comment. It came from a Reddit comment. So let's
So interesting things going on with facial recognition these days.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Did you see the IRS pulled? I don't remember if it had been pulled before our last episode or not, but the IRS okay, you're right. We were wrong. That's not said often.
The government changed course. What?
No, never.
Yeah. So interesting stuff. So why don't we go to our favorite segment of the show, which is Aware Much?
Hey, thanks, Tom. Attackers are now learning it pays off certainly to spend a little bit of effort and research, and they figured out a scam that leverages three things that we kind of have talked about before, but it's interesting. There's the shipping notices that we see in a lot of phishing messages, you missed your shipment, or impersonation of major brands, and also the macros, tricking people on to allowing macros to run. So in the shipping side, you've got the pandemic has really impacted shipments to the point where people kind of expect to get notifications about all kinds of things, not just missed shipments, but is it coming? When will it be here, and all those things. And then the most trusted logo or brand now is one of the most impersonated, right? DHL as a shipper. So of course attackers can leverage those things, and we've also seen that it's pretty easy to trick people into enabling macros in an attachment. So you get somebody to open the shipping notification and they open the invoice or the packaging thing, and it says, hey, you need to turn on this feature in order to be able to see it. And people are so used to being told, well, it only works in this situation. So it's just due to the poor implementation of a lot of UI stuff that happens, and it still happens with macros. So we get people, enabling the macros, and that allows download of, a malicious document that really does infect your computer and takes over, maybe does ransomware or whatever. But, to put it all together, you've got all these things that are very compelling. So it seems to work pretty well now. And so our tip really is, just because an email seems to be from a trusted source and looks legitimate, you need to be careful, especially if it's a shipping notification, right? And you almost never need macros enabled, right, for anything, especially from somebody you don't know. So don't bother turning on macros. So that Aware Much segment was brought to you by ClickArmor, the most effective way to build a self-defending team using immersive, gamified security awareness training that motivates people to learn and practice so they'll be better able to spot real attacks. And so we'd like you to visit clickarmor.ca/shared security for a self-assessment of your security awareness program. That's it for this installment of Aware Much.
What does it mean to go off the grid? Well, for most of us that are constantly relying on our phones, tablets, and laptops, it means shutting them off and doing some other activity like enjoying nature or spending time with friends and family. Now, you're probably a lot like me and struggle with turning off or putting down that smartphone because we always feel the need to be constantly connected. Listen, it's hard to go off the grid, but the good news is that there are products that can help. So that's why I recommend using a silent Faraday bag, which can instantly block all wireless signals, quickly taking you off the grid and giving you back control of your wireless devices. Check out their full product line at slnt.com, and because you listen to this podcast, make sure you use discount code SHAREDSECURITY at checkout to receive 10% off your order.
I love that they use DHL, the one shipping company that nobody expects to get a notification from. But I swear that DHL's marketing is, hey, you know what? If you're just tired of using a good shipping company, try us out.
I find it fascinating because DHL is, really I know in the US it's really used for international shipments, right?
Yes. Like my Chewbacca head came from
Right.
Ireland via DHL.
Yeah.
I think it's much bigger in Europe than it is,
It is.
in the US.
Is it any better in Europe than it is in the United States? I
don't know. I mean, I find shipping companies are like airlines or any other, commodity thing where, one company can be really good for a while and then they just fall apart and have terrible service. And so you switch to another one and it's good for a while and then it falls apart. So.
My experience with DHL is it's always been bad.
Yeah. Well, the one thing with DHL I noticed is that the shipping notifications are really weird. And they sometimes go to site, and this I guess gives credit to why scammers are using DHL is because when you click on one of those, track my shipment links from them, it often goes to a page that's either not working or it takes you to another page and another. Like, it's really confusing, and I think that's where they're capitalizing. On that confusion.
And I think it is absolutely one of those cases where DHL is often used unknowingly by the recipient.
Right? Well, it happens all the time. I mean, it's becoming really frustrating because you don't know how your package is going to be arriving. Is it going to be UPS and it won't come in unless it's business hours and I'm home?
Well, and to make it rude, Amazon has made that even more complex between Amazon and eBay. Right, we're ordering so many things that people are just like, oh yeah, I must. Today, we were doing our first run of the CISP, the latest CISP mentorship program started today, and I'm in the middle of doing the live session, and the doorbell downstairs rang, and it was UPS delivering a box, and I'm like, what in the world? Oh yeah, I forgot. 2 weeks ago, we ordered a new shipment.
What did I order?
And it came today, right? Yep. So yeah, I totally get falling for the shipping notifications. I'd like to say I never have, but I don't know that.
I actually did a blog post on this on the ClickArmor website last week. There's a little more discussion in there.
Yeah, we'll have that linked in the show notes for sure. Good segment. Great topic. So, our last story of the week. Spanish police arrest SIM swappers who stole money from victims' bank accounts. And I thought this was interesting because we've talked about SIM hijacking in the past. And, I know that the telecoms, at least here in the U.S., they've gotten, I think, a little more aggressive with trying to spread awareness about this and probably doing some things internally to help prevent this type of attack. And for those of you that maybe not aware what SIM hijacking or SIM swapping is, essentially it's where someone will either typically social engineer a customer service rep of one of the phone companies, and they get them to pass being you, right? And then they take over your account, changing the SIM card to another number that's under the attacker's control. And so once you have that, it makes things like two-factor authentication or text-based two-factor authentication now in the hands of the attacker. And that's very powerful because now they can start resetting passwords and logins for things like online banking and other things. So, and the FBI actually released some statistics that said that there were 1,600 reported complaints to the FBI. This was last year with losses of over $68 million. So this is something that is increasing across the world. And it is interesting that in Spain, they've shut down one of these criminal groups that were doing this and making a lot of money from these victims. So
cool.
Fascinating stuff. So something to be aware of. I know we've talked about this on the show before, but all of the telecom companies have a way of adding an additional PIN or password to your account on top of your existing login that you should always enable. And these are things that would help prevent someone pretending that they're you, trying to gain access to your phone number.
Yep.
So crazy stuff. So with that, I think that is all the stories we have today. But I did want to also mention one thing that came out from our sponsor, Silent, which they still are Silent Pocket. That is their products, but they had rebranded their company to Silent, SLNT. And they just released a 4-week cybersecurity and privacy challenge that is email based, and I helped them create that. So we put together a nice 4-week program, which goes through talking about things like the importance of 2-factor authentication, patching your system or your systems, keeping those up to date, and other helpful tips. So highly recommend you check that out. Maybe not so much for all of you listening. Of course, you're all very aware of cybersecurity and privacy because you listen to this podcast, and hopefully we've been giving you great advice over the years, but maybe your friends or family members, maybe they're not so aware. So I would just recommend sending this free guide to them. Maybe they'll learn something to help make them a little more secure. So you can access that at sharedsecurity.net/guide, and that will take you to Silent site to sign up for the challenge.
Very cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well, that's all we have for this week. So thank you, Scott. Thank you, Kevin. Good luck with the trucker situation, Scott.
Yeah.
We'll check in with you next week, and maybe it'll be better or not.
And we'll catch you on the flip-flop.
That's right. Thanks for listening, everyone. That's all for this week's show. Visit our website, sharedsecurity.net, for all previous episodes and to sign up for our email newsletter. Looking for Shared Security merch? Be sure to check out our online store at store.sharedsecurity.net. Don't forget, you can always find us on Twitter at SharedSec, and please hit that like and subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Shared Security Show.